Oh, hey, what's up, guys? We have Andrew Menotti here. He is my friend, but he's also a lawyer and he knows a lot about politics. So, what's going on, Andrew? How are you doing today?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad we could finally do it.
No problem. It's been a while, and I'm glad that you're on too. So, yeah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, just so people can know who you are?
Sure. I'm an attorney. I've been practicing law for 9 years. I do mostly personal injury in California. I'm also licensed in Nevada. Um, when I'm not working, I like to go hiking, get outdoors. Um, I've done backpacking before, rock climbing when I was in better shape. And Yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
All right, cool. So, yeah, I mainly wanted to have you on for politics, but then also the law, I guess, side of politics.
Sure.
So, I guess we'll start off with what's going on with Trump because I've heard that he's gotten indicted 4 times. I don't really fully know like what indicted means. I guess it just means like arrested, right?
Um, that's a good question. I believe when you return an indictment, so I don't practice criminal law, but I know teensy bit just from being a lawyer. I think the indictment is actually just that a grand jury has returned an indictment, meaning we approve of you filing charges against Donald Trump or against this person. A grand jury can be asked, they're presented evidence, like people testify, they're shown whatever documents, videos, and they're asked, like, do you think there's enough evidence to charge this person with this crime? And then they return a no true bill, which means no, we don't think you have enough for this charge, or I believe they return an indictment. I could be wrong on a number of parts of that, but that's my general understanding of what an indictment means.
Okay, so can you go over, are you able to go over the first, second, third, fourth, and I guess ultimately what you think is going to happen with Trump?
Ooh. So um, this is my horrible recollection of what the different indictments are. I listen to guys who talk about this, and I mean, I'll listen to podcasts that are like an hour long talking about, different aspects of the indictment, and they'll have people that are, criminal law experts, guys who went to Harvard and worked for the Attorney General's office. So I know a little bit. I believe the first indictment that everyone was talking about was in New York. That's with Alvin Bragg, and that was charging Donald Trump with a falsification of business records, and then using the falsification of business records in furtherance of a crime, which I believe was when he violated the federal law against campaign expenditures, because he got an in-kind campaign contribution in the form of the money to pay off Stormy Daniels, and that sort of like helped his campaign. And because he then covered that up through a series of fraudulent payments to Michael Cohen, which it was fraudulent because they said it was for legal services because he's a lawyer. So he sent them a bill for his legal services. But as Rudy Giuliani famously acknowledged in an interview with Sean Hannity, that there wasn't any legal services being performed, which was incredible because Rudy Giuliani directly implicated Michael Cohen in a fraudulent scheme, and Donald Trump as well, in doing this whole thing. And he did it on national television, which I thought was incredible. I don't know if that's the only evidence that they used, but I've literally seen that clip, and it's just amazing to watch this guy who's supposed to be like he was the Attorney General of New York, for New York City, or not the Attorney General, the DA for New York, and that just saying something like that is just like, I don't understand how you're an attorney and you could literally talk about illegal things someone did and implicate them in a crime on national television. The second indictment, I believe, is the destruction of the classified documents. Sorry, the classified documents that Trump had, that he refused to give to the I'm drawing a blank. It's the records department. I can't think of what it is. Like the Library of Congress has like a records department. I think that's the agency. And he's supposed to give all the things that you take notes on, or anything that's generated as the president or anyone in the office of the presidency, has to be retained. It's a matter of public record. So you can go, if you wanted to, go look up notes that JFK wrote to someone. If that act was in effect at that time, which I think it was, then it has to be preserved. I know for Nixon, that's why, like, there's these Nixon tapes. Nixon had a habit of recording everything. So Donald Trump kept a bunch of stuff he wasn't supposed to keep, including famously the Iran. There was like a plan, like a contingency plan, or this is what we think it was. In case we have to attack Iran, here's how we'll do it. And then he didn't turn that over, and then he's made various excuses. But there's that video or the audio recording of him talking to, I forget who it was, but where he's acknowledging, yeah, here's this document. From the audio recording, it sounds like they're all sitting at a table and he's like sliding it over, like, there's this document. It's got classified stuff about, if we had to attack someone, don't get too close to it. It's classified. Obviously, I didn't declassify it when I was president. I can't now, or something like that. And so he didn't turn over those records. And he was supposed to. And they gave him a bunch of chances. So it's not like, if you've heard, they'll say, well, Joe Biden didn't turn over records. Well, he had some records in his garage. And when he was asked to get them, because once the Trump thing started breaking, he thought, I better look and make sure I don't have any records. And lo and behold, he did. He then immediately turned them over. If Joe Biden had then kept them for years and, told the Department of Justice or the Library of Congress, whoever was asking for the records, to go pound sand, then eventually he could have been, they could have executed a search warrant, just like they did to Trump. But Joe Biden complies with requests to turn over documents, as most politicians normally do. So he wouldn't be charged with a crime. So that was the second one. I don't know what the third one is, but I think it's when they released I think it's called a superseding indictment. And that's just if they find new evidence about other crimes. And I believe with respect to the documents case, the willful retention of the classified documents, they then were trying to destroy evidence. And I think that's what the third indictment is. And that's Trump telling his bodyguard and valet, or a couple of different people, that like lower level guys, to get rid of some footage from the cameras that showed them moving documents around, which shows that Trump is hiding the documents from the DOJ, or from I think it's from his lawyers, because he told his lawyers, you're going to go look at all my documents and make sure, because they've asked you to look at the documents and make sure it's okay. I want you to go look through them. And there was 50 boxes. And then Trump had his low-level guys take 30 of the boxes and move them to like a bathroom or something. It was on a stage in this one room, and they moved it to the bathroom or something, and it's all on camera. And that shows that he knew that there was stuff in there he didn't want to turn over, and then he hid it because he didn't want his attorneys to go through it, because then they would turn over all the documents that he's not supposed to have. I believe that's the third indictment, but honestly, there's been so much stuff that I'm not sure that that's the third one. And the fourth one just dropped today, and that's the one out of Atlanta from Fannie Willis, the DA there. And I believe that's regarding Trump asking the governor and possibly the Georgia Secretary of State to somehow find 11,780 votes for him, because that would allow him to win the state of Georgia, which Biden won by probably the narrowest margin in, I believe, the 2020 election. And so if they had somehow nullified 11,780 Democratic votes, then Trump would have won. Now, I don't know how legal that is. And obviously Brad Raffensperger and I believe the Secretary of State both told Trump, you can't do that. And there's that phone call that was recorded. I don't know if you've heard any part of it, but that is, I believe, the fourth indictment. There might be some other stuff, because she did a Georgia RICO statute, and I don't really know anything about RICO to begin with, let alone Georgia RICO, it's different. but she charged a whole bunch of people with different stuff. So I'm not sure that I know all the charges, but I believe this at least stems from Trump trying to get those 11,780 votes thrown out.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot. It's hard for
Sorry.
me to even though I think that I think that you did simplify it. Like it's still like kind of going over my head. But let's just start with
No,
the
I get
last
it.
one. So even Georgia, a southern state, which should be technically red, right? I don't know if they're red or blue at this point, but they're probably normally
They're basically
red.
purple, but they've historically been red for a while. Yeah. I mean,
By purple, you
it-
mean it's like a mix, right?
yeah, it's a mix. I mean, Biden won the presidency by a very narrow margin. It was, I guess, 11,780 votes, but something like that, like which is not a lot in, to win a state. Like that was, I think Gore lost the vote in 2000 by like 300 or 500 votes, which is like a tiny margin, right? So 10,000 that's still a very few votes to lose.
But
So,
just the fact that a southern state that I guess is purple or red would go is going after Trump, right? Like they decided to stand up and say so he just blatantly asked, "Can you?" And is that all he asked was, "Can you find me?" Not all, because that's bad, obviously. But it's like he wasn't like do it. He was just like, "Can you maybe find me 11,000 votes to win this?" And was that the tiebreaker kind of thing? Like if they had won that one, he would have won.
ooh, that's a good question. I don't think that he would have won because he needed to, probably to win a couple of states, but it would have been very helpful, and it was the one that could have been most easily overturned. I mean, it's a Republican governor, a Republican secretary of state, so they kind of dominate the politics, the state politics, and it was a narrow margin. So, as opposed to another state, if they have a Democratic governor, they're probably not going to listen to Trump if he wants them to do some illegal thing. Thankfully, Brad Raffensperger didn't do it. He obviously is not going to play with the election. That was what Trump was asking for, is illegal, and so he didn't want to do it. But it would have gotten him closer to winning for sure if they had done that.
And he is Republican. He is a Republican governor. And was he right? And was he the one who decided to come forward and basically call out Trump in this situation?
I don't know, but it was a recorded conversation, and Brad Raffensperger and I believe the Georgia Secretary of State, I want to say that's Brian Kemp, were both on the phone call. So they probably both they probably recorded it because they knew Trump is calling. This is bad. We know that he's probably calling because he wants us to do something illegal, and we're not going to get tied up in this scheme. When people are recording Donald Trump, they're recording him as an insurance policy. That's why they're doing it. They're like, look, I think this guy's going to do some shady crap. He's going to ask me to do something illegal. I'm going to cover my ass. I'm going to record this.
And so the other guys who are kind of deciding to back him up almost like unconditionally, like Rudy Giuliani, and you said Michael Cohen, right? Those guys are just kind of, is it like, why do you think they're choosing to back him up? Like, is it it just because they like him, or is it like
Rudy Giuliani is tied in it now, and I don't think there's any chance of him flipping. He's implicated. I think he's in this newest indictment.
No, that's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
Do we know why Rudy Giuliani has been backing him up the whole time, or Michael Cohen, or any of these? It sounds like these lawyers are kind of willing to kind of like go under for him, and it sounds like they are, right?
Yeah, they are. Michael Cohen isn't now. Michael Cohen did his time and now is critical of Trump. Rudy Giuliani.
How much time did Michael Cohen do, and what did Michael Cohen do his time for?
I believe it was for his involvement in what we talked about in the first indictment, which was the
Stormy Daniels thing,
paying the hush money to Stormy Daniels, and that was a fraudulent scheme. So, one, if you're it is legal to pay someone a porn star money, but one, if you fraudulently conceal a transaction by saying, oh, well, you're going to pay me 30 grand a month in legal fees, but I don't do any legal work for you, then that's a fraudulent transaction. You can't make up stories about why you're doing things, why, you know, someone's not actually providing services. You have to state, you know, that I'm paying off this person, and it would have to be declared as a campaign expense, and it would be messy and bad. And I don't practice campaign finance law. I know just the tiniest bit about it, but like anytime you get something of value, you have to declare it. Like if you were running for city council and one of your buddies was like, hey man, I have a retail space. I rent out this store and you can have a campaign event. You know, I'll provide drinks and you can just have people there. And that would be, you'd have to disclose that because that's worth money. So it'd be like, yeah, this guy gave me $5,000 in use of his room and free beverages. So
was that, sorry,
is a crime.
Was that, okay, was that hush money to Michael Cohen or was it to Stormy Daniels?
It was to Stormy Daniels, but it got
$30,000 a month. He was paying her to be quiet.
Yeah, Michael Cohen. So to conceal the fact that Trump was going to give him the money, what they did was Michael Cohen, I believe he took out like a HELOC loan, or he took out some type of loan, like home equity, something where he could use some assets that he had to pay her like $230,000 or something like that. And then over the course of like a year, Trump was going to pay him like 25 or 30 grand a month for like 10 months or something like that. And then that would pay him back for all the money that he had paid Stormy Daniels, plus the interest that he would accrue on the loan. And then because he would have to pay taxes on it, some money for the taxes, and then money to make it worth his while. So it was like he got paid, I don't know, he probably made $50,000 in profit, and the rest was to pay himself back, to pay for the tax obligations he'd owe on it and stuff like that. And he set it up as it was a legal legal services, but it wasn't. And that's fraud.
Okay, and was the reason he was paying her instead of Trump was to like a backdoor deal? Like they were trying to hide it. So he's like, I'll pay her, you pay me.
Exactly. So that way you didn't know that it was Donald Trump paying a porn star to be quiet about their affair.
Okay. And then like just essentially just having sex with her or whatever is illegal, right? Because she was a prostitute, right? Like he paid her to have sex with her, but that's not what he's getting in trouble for. He's getting in trouble for paying her off after the fact, right? Or no?
No. So
she wasn't a prostitute. They just hooked up voluntarily.
Yeah. She just wanted to have sex with him because she thought he could offer her opportunities in Hollywood.
So I mean, if that's the case, then it almost seems like it would be better for him just to kind of like own up to and be like, yeah, I cheated on my wife.
Right, but that would be embarrassing and potentially damaging. This was 1 week. I think it was 1 week. This was after the Access Hollywood tape where Trump's caught on camera saying, you know, I can do whatever I want to women. I can kiss them. I can grab them by the pussy. And that was considered damaging to his campaign, or somewhat damaging. And then I think around that same time, I could be wrong on my timing, but it's close to the election. I can tell you that. And a story about Trump paying hush money to a porn star to conceal an affair that he had with her while his wife was pregnant sounds bad.
Okay. So he wanted to avoid that. his wife being his current wife, Melania.
Yeah.
And she was pregnant with the youngest son, what's his name?
Barron Trump.
Barron Trump. Okay. So I don't know. It just, for some reason, it seems weird to me because it's like the stuff he's actually getting in trouble for. It's like, I don't know. It seems like he must have done worse stuff than that, like taking documents and then also like cheating on his wife. And it's like, but I mean, I guess if that's all I would imagine that there would be tons of women that he probably slept with. Why aren't more coming out? Like, why is she the only one that like really came out? Or maybe, I mean, we don't know that there is, I guess, but
we don't know that there is. I know that the National Enquirer, forget if it's the editor-in-chief, but somebody is Donald Trump's friend. And so they had kind of an open arrangement where he would offer a person the exclusive rights to tell their story about whatever it was about Donald Trump. So we don't even know what the stories were, but he would then get the exclusive rights. I assume he got down a version of whatever their story was, and then he didn't publish it. And that's called catch and kill in the journalism industry, where you get the rights to the story and then you don't publish it. And so you can then conceal stories about people, and the person can't publish it, right? You signed a contract that's going to pay you $100,000 so that I get the rights to your story, and now I'm not telling the story.
Who did that?
The owner of the National Enquirer, I believe.
Why did he do that? To like actually
Because he
defend
likes
Trump?
Donald Trump. He's friends with him.
He likes him that much to pay somebody to get information that he won't leak, essentially.
Yeah, Mike,
just for Trump.
These people have lots and lots and lots of money. So, yeah, I'm
just so surprised by how many people are willing to, lie for Trump and go down for him. He doesn't really seem like that like charming of a guy.
The National Enquirer was doing is legal.
That's not illegal, but like they're spending money on protecting Trump, and I just don't see why. But so then going to him taking documents, like, do we know why he did that? Was it just kind of like an ego move? Like he just wanted to do it and was like, I can do whatever I want, and then I'm willing to like get indicted for it?
We don't know why he did it. I think, Ben Shapiro advances the theory that Trump is a hoarder and likes to keep things. I mean, the guy does like to keep mementos around. I know he has, his Time magazine covers and stuff like that. I mean, the guy and I think he kept that letter from Kim Jong-un, the dictator of North Korea.
Yeah.
The guy likes to keep that stuff, but so I don't know if that's why. Obviously it's a pretty crazy left-wing conspiracy theory that he was selling the documents to someone, but there's no evidence of that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
See, in a crime, it doesn't matter why you did it. I could have the best reasons in the world for robbing a bank, but robbing the bank is the crime, and it doesn't matter my motive. It could be to get lots of money and buy drugs.
Well, no, yeah.
Could be to save my wife who has cancer.
I don't think there's any good motive for it. Like robbing a bank, you would just be clearly doing it for the money. But like in his situation, why not just give back the fucking documents? It's like there's no, like, if you know you can get in trouble for it, just give them back. I don't understand some of this stuff. So going forward to now, what do you think is going to happen to him ultimately? Do you think he'll actually end up in prison or anything, or do you think he'll get off?
I don't think he'll do any jail time. No. So man, I mean,
is it just because he was president, or like, what's the reason for that?
That he wants to do jail time? Yeah, because he was president. Look, I think it's, a lot of people are complaining on the right wing circles. Oh, there's a two-tiered system of justice. If Donald Trump was a regular defendant for some of these crimes that he's being charged with, and he was doing the crap that he's been doing. I don't know if you've seen, but on Truth Social, he's been posting, if you mess with me, I'm going to mess with you. He's already started posting things about, I forget, criticizing Mike Pence, saying different things like that. If in a normal criminal trial, a guy was posting on the internet, like, if I'm on trial for something and I'm like, Micah better shut up about what he knows. He's an idiot. He doesn't want to mess with me. Like, the judge would put me in jail if I was out on bail. Like, you can't threaten witnesses. You can't do that. Like,
but I don't get why he would get away with it because he was the former president.
Yeah,
but what does that matter?
Like, president now, and he has a chance of winning the presidency.
But it's like, to a certain extent, shouldn't that person almost be held to a higher standard? It's like, I know if like you're like a therapist or a lawyer, like it's like if you're a lawyer, I don't even know if lawyers are held to higher standards, but it's like you kind of think if you broke the law, it's like, okay, you being a lawyer, you should know what the law is. The judge is going to be like, so I don't really see why the president gets away with so much stuff. And not only that, but I'm not even going to take. That's the whole thing. It's I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, Biden also breaks the law, or Hillary or Bill Clinton or whatever. So it's like either side. And I'm definitely not trying to defend Trump in that situation, but it's like, I guess it's just like one of those things where if you were the leader of the United States, then you should be held to a higher standard, but also, held to a higher standard in terms of like, not go to prison, I don't know, but
no, I agree with you. The United States has yet to put any major leader in jail. We put congressmen in jail. We've probably put senators in jail, and they're usually for very distinct, like corruption crimes, like embezzling money and stuff like that. We do it to. There's guys at LA City Council who were on LA City Council who are now doing jail time for basically taking bribes and stuff like that. So we do that, but to presidents, people in the cabinet or something like that, we have, as far as I know, we have yet to do that. And the closest we came would have been with Richard Nixon and his vice president. So we haven't. Other countries do. South Korea has put a number of their former presidents in jail. Brazil, I believe, has, or they would have put Bolsonaro in jail. And I believe Italy has. So, it does happen, but in the United States, we think of it as scandalous. And I understand that. And I would hope that we wouldn't put presidents in jail, but that's because presidents shouldn't be doing illegal shit. Like, all the things Trump did were stupid, and he didn't need to do them.
Well, that's the whole thing, is it all sounds like stupid shit. And so like when the right goes, oh, that's so petty to like put him in jail for that. It's like, yeah, kind of, it's not petty, but it's like, it's stupid shit that he shouldn't have done. But like, I would almost think that we would be able to get him with more. But what about like Giuliani? Do you think he'll end up spending time in prison? I also heard something came out about his text messages with like, was it with an assistant or something? Did you hear about that? If you didn't,
vaguely, but I don't think I remember any specific thing that came out. But someone probably turned over their text messages.
I heard it on H3 and it was really bad. It was like, you're so hot, like when I think like it was like something about like, come over, like I want your tits over here with me or something. But like he like went into, I wish I had more information on this. I thought you would, but he kind of was like, you're so smart, and it turns me on. He's like, usually, I don't think women being smart, it doesn't turn me on, but with you, like your intelligence really turns me on. It's like really like creepy old man shit. Look it up. Okay. But yeah, do you think that he'll go to prison? And are we also talking jail or prison? Are we talking like long term for these guys, or?
So they all could face sentences that would be long enough for prison, because prison is a sentence of 1 year and a day or longer. So anything for a year or less is in a jail. And anything for longer than that for a felony is in prison. Yes, they theoretically face time for felonies and could do a number of years. Again, I don't think they will. With Giuliani, I don't even really know what he's charged with. But I believe that he's been indicted for various things, he's in some of them, he's been like listed as a co-conspirator, but hasn't been indicted. I think in the Georgia one, he is indicted. The process has kind of played out well enough with Rudy Giuliani in that he lost his bar license in Washington, D.C. I don't know about New York, but my gut, and this is, I'm like, I know this much about certain things, and I'm like now like trying to extrapolate. I think if you lose your license in one state, they can start proceedings in other states if they also think, oh yeah, what you did was bad. So it's possible he'll lose his law license in New York, and I don't know if he's licensed anywhere else. So he might lose his ability to practice law. He's already lost his job as a partner at Greenberg Traurig. That was a while ago. So I don't know how the guy's going to be making money other than, I think he has a podcast, and we can hire him to do cameos now. So, he's got a few ways to make money, but
he's old now. He could probably just retire at this point, right? Isn't he like 8? How old is he? Like 70 or 80? Like, is he just retired?
He's definitely older, but but these guys, they have a nice lifestyle that they're accustomed to. And I think Rudy might have some debt. So, these guys got to keep up, having nice suits, and Rudy has to feed his whiskey habit. So these things, they cost money. I don't know. Maybe he can retire, but I heard he wasn't in good financial straits.
I would imagine he's rich. I would think he's rich, but I could be wrong.
Think so.
Yeah. But so, okay. So moving on to the presidential candidates, I like to like boil things down to or simplify them. So I just heard Marianne Williamson on Bill Maher's podcast, and she like debated, quote unquote, Hassan Piker on his show. I listened to both of them.
Oh, interesting.
So she sounds like a pretty interesting candidate. But so I know of her, Marianne Williamson on the left, and then RFK Jr. on the left, and then obviously Biden, and then you got Pence on the right. You got DeSantis. Obviously, Trump is back. And then, am I missing any names? Are there any other contenders?
Those are probably the only ones that really matter right now. I think it's really only Trump and DeSantis. Other people, Will Hurd, I think, is running, and some other Republican guys. I've seen him pop up on Twitter saying he's going to run, but I don't even know who he is. So he's just probably trying to get exposure by throwing his hat into the race. And then Vivek Ramshani, I think is his name, for the Republicans.
Andrew Yang's not back.
And as far as I know, Andrew Yang is not back. He might be thought he was trying to form his own party. So maybe he's working on that, or I think they just want exposure. Most of these guys, they know they're not going to win.
So someone like Marianne Williamson, do we even know what she did before? Like, is she just some like rich lady who's like wants to throw her hat in the ring?
She wrote
books on what? On what do we know?
No, I didn't read them. I know that she might have gotten on Oprah's like book club or whatever. So she might have sold some books through Oprah, because I know Oprah's friends with her. I think she's a psychologist by trade, so they might be dealing with psychology, but I'm honestly not sure.
Okay, then what about RFK Jr.? Like, I mean, first of all, I asked you last night, I think, like, why is he running as a Democrat? Does he think he has like a better chance maybe against Biden, or I guess maybe he wants to stay with like what JFK was, right? He wants to stay like with his family tradition. I mean, I don't even really know what he's running for besides the anti-vax thing, right? I mean, it's like, what are some of, I know he's against abortion, right? Didn't he say something about outlawing abortion if he becomes president or something?
Oh, did he? Wow, I think
I read that.
Yeah. Anti-vax is what I know. He's a big anti-vax guy, so I know he believes in working out too. So I couldn't tell you what his policy positions are. In terms of why he's running as a Democrat, I mean, Republicans like him as like a controlled opposition candidate. That's who they think Democrats should be. But
they're like, if it's not gonna be Trump, then we want him, basically, right? Like, we want
that's who we want our opponent to be. That's who we want our opponent to be. That's what we want the terms of the debate to be, between vaccination is really bad and vaccination is really bad.
Oh, but Trump isn't necessarily totally anti-vax, right? Because wasn't he kind of like actually for the vax? Like, he was the one who supposedly kind of started the program for the vaccine.
He did.
Or something. He took credit.
He did.
So he's not. So Trump's not really anti-vax, right?
I thought lately his statements have been more anti-vax, but I'd have to like look at them again.
He's probably just, if he is saying that, he's probably just saying that because he sees his wing saying that. But I don't know.
That's what I think Trump says about a lot of things. I mean, Trump was pro-choice for a while, and then obviously he realized evangelical Christians don't like that, and he wanted to run as a conservative. And so, he got adulation from those people. So he started saying that he was pro-life and he's against abortion. So I'm sure that's he probably just reads the room and says these people they're against vaccines, or they're very skeptical of vaccines, so I'm gonna adopt that position.
Yeah, it's just they're taking some really weird positions. It's kind of like we got like the anti-vax position. It's just like a big one, right? I mean, that's like one of the big things. And then what else? I mean, what are the main things that they're running on? Like, I guess like abortion,
culture war. They're not running on abortion. That's the thing. They don't want to talk about abortion because they got abortion outlawed in a number of states because of the ruling in Dobbs. So as a result of that, they don't want to talk about it, because the stories that you're going to hear now about abortion are going to be horror stories. I mean, are there any positive stories you're hearing about? Well, thanks to the fact that abortion's illegal now in Texas, the birth rates are going up and women are happier than ever. No, the stories that are getting run in the newspapers are like a lady's like sitting in the parking lot of a hospital in, I don't know what state, but like Texas or Ohio or something like that. Actually, I don't think it's Ohio, but Indiana, I think. And they're trying to find out if they can get their fetus unfortunately like died inside of them, and so they're gonna have a miscarriage. But I don't know if you know, but miscarriages don't just happen like immediately. Like it's basically like a long, like a period. You're gonna like slowly bleed out whatever, if that little baby is there, and it might, might be a tiny little thing. It's, that big, but it's going to slowly like just come out. And so, that's like disgusting and traumatic and painful and takes a while. So you could just get it removed. And that's actually considered safer because there can be some complications if like, I don't know, the blood doesn't actually come out and you can get an infection because there's some blood in you or something like that. So but these doctors are not being allowed to do that in certain states, so they don't want to talk about that because there's these horror stories of women trying to get the procedure done to have the miscarriage taken out of her, which is it's the same procedure as an abortion, and it sounds awful. These people are suffering. They already have the trauma of the baby that they wanted to have is now dead. And now they're like suffering while they're trying to get a medical procedure done. So no, I don't think they're not talking about abortion. I think they talk about, some people are talking about culture war stuff, trans bathroom stuff, and that the election was a fraud. But as far as I know, I mean, it's only Trump and DeSantis are the only front runners. So I don't know, other than that stuff, what they're running on.
And DeSantis isn't doing good against Trump, right? Which is it kind of surprised me. And not only that, but like Pence, like I recently heard about like how Pence has like he has a very small fan base, like probably what, like 3% or something. I don't know, but it's like
something like that.
I'm kind of, and then DeSantis is what, like 17, and then Trump's like 49, or I don't know, like
something like that. Yeah, DeSantis is the second closest person, so
it's kind of weird to me. It's just all very weird to me. Like it's hard for me to even talk about it because it's like I have no clue why Trump is still doing so good, and like why so many people are still backing him at this point is weird to me. I thought that they would go to DeSantis, or I thought they would even go to Pence, because at least Pence comes off as like an upright citizen. Like he really did.
He does.
He has done the right thing, right? Like he came out against Trump with the whole invasion of the Congress or whatever, right? And then it's like he really seems to be like, at least he like seems to be like a good guy, but like nobody likes him really. So it's, I mean, I guess he doesn't.
I don't think they want.
They both don't have the charisma. What I've heard is like DeSantis doesn't have the charisma either, which is also weird because from what I've seen of DeSantis, he seems to be pretty like, I haven't seen a whole lot of his speeches or anything, but he seems to have charisma kind of, or at least kind of like he's willing to do some crazy stuff to like prove a point.
That he is.
Yeah.
He's willing to do crazy stuff. If I was a Republican, that would be my preference, because I feel like the mood right now in the Republican Party is they want someone who's going to take on the liberals, who's going to like punish them, hurt them, and they want someone who's really against them. And so DeSantis is more effective than Trump, because Trump can say a lot of, tough stuff. But when it comes to actually, he never actually had Hillary Clinton arrested. He just said, lock her up, because it sounded good. DeSantis is actually trying to make the culture war that he talks about happen. He's trying to punish Disney for speaking out against his Don't Say Gay bill. And, he was somewhat effective. Like they did some clever stuff, but so to me, he's the Republican choice. If that's the mood of the Republican Party, the smart money should be on DeSantis. I don't know that he has a lot of charisma, and I think people think he is also kind of a bully. He's doing what Trump does because that's what's popular, and I don't know that he has the same kind of, that people like him as much as Trump. But yeah, people you know, obviously there's people that don't think Trump will win. They'll vote for Trump if he's the nominee, but they kind of hope for someone else. But Trump just has a base of people that just love him.
Yeah, like they've stuck by his side all this time, and I don't know why. And I don't know. It's very hard for me to like. I don't know. It's hard for me to like talk about this stuff, and I feel like I'm like a decent debater, but for one, I just don't know enough. I don't know enough about it, but it's like it's extremely harder to debate with like some of these people, because it's like I think the main thing is like you don't see eye to eye to like begin with. So it's like obviously like we're not really gonna argue like gay rights or trans rights or abortion, like when we can't find any common ground, right? So
Yeah.
it's like yeah. So okay, so what about what's going on like with Tucker Carlson, and what do you think about the whole I saw that he interviewed Andrew Tate. What do you think about all the Andrew Tate stuff? Because well, I know that Tucker is like now doing his own thing, as you know.
Yes.
But he's interviewed Tate, and I know that Candace Owens also interviewed Tate.
Oh, wow.
And I guess it's mainly just surrounding the whole like men should be men thing. I don't know. I mean, you know, it's the usual Tate stuff. Do we know what's going on with Tate? I guess. And I was gonna go to Tucker, but there's not really much to say about him, right? Except, I mean, we really kind of like know. You know,
his numbers are down dramatically after he got fired from Fox. He started off.
That's surprising too. But I mean, even though his numbers might be down, like he's still getting millions of views, like just from his Tate video, I think. Right. So it's like.
So, I mean, when you lose the platform of Fox News, it's hard to have the same viewership number, because people are just watching television, and then your program comes on and they're like, oh yeah, I like Tucker Carlson, I'll watch his program. Now they have to go on Twitter. I mean, a lot of the people that watch Fox, you know, there's people our age that watch Fox, but a lot of the viewers tend to be older. They probably don't go on Twitter as much. So his
show is literally just on Twitter now.
I believe so.
It's like a Twitter show. I mean, I didn't even know like they had their own shows. Like I knew they were starting to do audio, and I guess now they have video. So like you can literally only watch his show on Twitter.
That's my understanding. I haven't watched it. I've seen when he first came on, I saw the first part of his show. But I didn't watch it. Like, you know, I scrolled past it, I saw it. Okay, it's a show.
And you literally only can watch it like on his channel. Like, so you have, if you want to watch that show, I know somebody ripped it and put it on YouTube, which at this point, that whole ripping thing has gone out of control. Like, but I mean, that's a whole separate like discussion, like the copyright law thing, which I had with some guy the other day. But, so it's like, in order to see it, you would literally have to go to Twitter, go to his page, and then it would just be somewhere on his page. Because I don't really know how their video works on Twitter. Like, right? It's like, it's not like YouTube where you can, or maybe you can search for it, I guess, but
you could if you knew what the terms were. Otherwise, you just go on Tucker's page and you scroll down and you watch the most recent one. And if you want to watch an old one, you have to scroll down or search for it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I asked
but
you.
The numbers went down quick. Yeah.
I mean, I know. Yeah, it's like the whole thing is that, like, don't get me wrong, like, you know, I'd like to see him fail, but it's like, I'm sure just from going from Fox, where I don't know how much he was getting, how many views he was getting a night or whatever, but he was the top guy, right?
He was, I think he was the highest rated show on cable television. Most people watching.
But that's the thing, is it's hard to compare that to YouTube, but some guys on YouTube get even more. Like Joe Rogan might even get more than him, right? But anyways, when he went, I noticed that his views on the Andrew Tate interview on YouTube, which was ripped, it's not even like his thing, it was like on another channel, I think had like 2 or 3 million views. So it's like, yeah, he's still not doing as good as he was, I'm sure, but he's still not doing bad. I mean, just by interviewing Tate, you probably get, you know, 1 million or 2, which that whole Tate thing is really weird to me, because it's like, I don't really see what the appeal is with the guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, I actually do think that he is he's a good talker. Like, it's like he can bullshit or whatever, talk. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I don't really see what the whole Tate appeal thing is. I don't know why he's kind of like risen the ranks of like the #1 alpha male or whatever, you know?
I mean, I haven't actually seen any of his like advice, but I mean, if I was a guy who was like, what guy should I listen to get like advice from? I mean, he's physically super strong. He's an MMA fighter. You can see him. He's ripped. He obviously he has this persona of I'm like real loaded, like he wears like a Gucci robe and has like, you know, $500,000 sports cars, and he claims that he basically sleeps with a lot of women. Turns out maybe he was raping them because he likes to rape women, but you know,
Allegedly, right?
allegedly, yeah, allegedly,
Yeah.
the Romanian police already arrested him for it. So, and I believe there's like text messages saying stuff like, yeah, I just like raping. I don't know why, or something like that. I don't understand why I like it when they don't consent, or something crazy like that. But you know, I mean, I can see why people would find him appealing if he can speak well and he's this like physically dominant dude. I mean, you know, an MMA guy, he can kick your ass. He's got tons of money. You know, so he's a tough guy. I
No,
didn't
yeah,
I
it
didn't
makes
watch him, so I don't know
sense.
anything about what he has to say.
It makes sense. I mean, I don't know. Like, um, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I almost feel like I don't know. It's like I can kind of see I almost see like the appeal at this point to like Jake Paul more than him or something, because it's like at least Jake, like I don't even, like you said he's MMA, but it's like he was MMA. I don't really think Tate's like really fighting anymore. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
he is ripped, but it's like there are guys who are more ripped than him that could just come out. But then like I don't know if you know who Bradley, do you know who Bradley Martin is?
No.
He's like, so there's this whole like I won't get into it too far now, but basically there's this whole like Joe Rogan universe that basically people have spot. Do you know who like Brendan Schaub is?
Actually, no.
Yeah. It's not part of like politics at all. It's more like comedy kind of. But like there's this
Oh,
whole
okay.
like Joe Rogan universe that has spawned, and it's like this big group of comedians, and like they're essentially all doing good. In my opinion, they're all doing good from Joe Rogan. Like they'll go on Joe Rogan, like, and at this point, it's like this guy Brendan Schaub, who used to be like an MMA guy, he's turned into like an online joke. It's like actually kind of sad. Like he's become he has a show with Brian Callen called The Fighter and the Kid, and they have a whole subreddit like just devoted to like making fun of him. And I forget. Oh yeah. So anyways, I was saying with Bradley Martin, he's part of this like he's in this group kind of where like they all interview the same people and they have their own podcasts. And he's ripped and he's a good looking guy, but he also he's not as aggressive as Tate is. Like he's more just mellow guy. But I don't know. My point is that I can see other people I would think other people would be a bigger draw than Tate if you're talking like just pure kind of like masculinity and looks. But then Tate really does kind of he can talk. Like he definitely talks and he's able to spin a web. But so in terms of the whole Twitter X thing and Elon Musk, we're
Yeah.
just, talking about the biggest fucking names here. You know what I mean? What's going on with that? Like, I mean, all I've really seen is that Twitter is now X.
Yep.
Once again, I don't really think there's like too much to say about it, right? It's just like Twitter is now X. He changed the name to X because of some ego trip that he had. And it's a bad idea, but who cares, I guess, right? I mean,
I don't care. But I think it's funny because, you know, Twitter is one of the most recognizable brands in the country. You know, I'd say its logo of the little bird is kind of up there with like Nike or Apple. Like their logos, like it's instantly recognizable. And they interviewed who's the guy that started it? I forget the name of the guy who started it, but
oh yeah, I'm forgetting his name too.
it's not coming to me, but
Jack Dorsey, right?
yeah, Jack Dorsey. Yeah. So
who seems like a totally like reasonable, mellow, like intellectual, smart dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And don't get me wrong. Like I actually think that Elon Musk is smart. I don't think he's dumb, but like he's kind of chaotic and makes some crazy decisions. But yeah.
He's not dumb, but he does. I think his decision making is poor with respect to Twitter. I mean, I use Twitter a lot,
Yeah.
so you know, I'm probably a power user or whatever. I use it pretty much every day, and I'm sure he's making some people really happy, but at the end of the day, it's the content creators and the people who consume their content that are the people that drive the platform, because that's what drives advertising dollars. And if you're actively pissing off left-wing liberal content creators and their fans, that is a problem. The whole reason why social media works, as much as conservatives want to bitch and moan about how it's not fair for them, is that both sides can have their content be posted on there. And yeah, there are some rules. You can't post racist content, but Elon Musk wants to favor right-wing voices on there, like he's reactivated people's accounts, like Kanye West, who then immediately got kicked off again because I forget what I don't even know what he did, but he after he got kicked off for posting a swastika image on his account, got deactivated, then got reactivated a few days ago and did something to get himself kicked off immediately. So
the swastika thing was like a while ago, right? And then just recently he got reactivated. I actually went on and I don't think he hadn't posted anything yet. I don't know, but yeah.
He was only on for a couple hours and I didn't even see it because, I am on Twitter. I check it, throughout the day sometimes. And if something wild is happening, like Kanye West posting something crazy, it would probably show up in my feed because other people are going to be like, can you believe whatever Kanye West is posting right now?
Yeah.
And I just didn't even see it. So if he did something, I don't even know what it was. But he got kicked off. And, these Elon reactivated a guy's account. And I didn't see, I know who it was. It was some guy who I think he does QAnon conspiracy theories, but somehow he tweeted or had child pornography on his Twitter account. and then
I feel like I heard about that.
Reactivated it. Yeah. And I didn't see it. So I don't know what that means. Because I don't know if it was like a censored image. It didn't actually show anything, but it was it was a picture of child pornography or something. I don't know.
What?
But I'm just saying, there could be circumstances where it would be like, okay, I don't think you should do that. But he posted something because I'm guessing he wasn't posting like, hey guys, look at this really hot, 13-year-old girl. I'm pretty sure that he was making some kind of comment or point, but he was nevertheless posting an image of child sex abuse material. So
he was trying to prove a point by showing the actual video.
Something, but you can't do that. So I don't know. I could be wrong on exactly how or what he did, but Musk reactivated him, and it was just like, no, man, you can't you need advertising dollars, and who is going to want to be on your platform if they think that guys might post child pornography? And that guy's one of the biggest followings too, because there's guys that because they monetize Twitter, and that guy's in the top, I forget, 50 people that they have the most follows and retweets and stuff, and he makes money every month posting his stuff. So he's up there with Mr. Beast and some of those other people. So no advertiser wants to think, oh yeah, I'm gonna have buy Nike shoes, and then there's a picture of child pornography. That's bad for business. So I don't know if you go on Twitter right now, the ads that they're posting are for an herbal supplement that's supposed to be like Viagra, they call it Blue Chew to make it sound like it's Viagra, but it's not, and it's herbal supplement and it doesn't do anything. And just random products, they're trying to sell a drone airplane, it's little, and you can fly it around. I'm doubting that it works as well as it shows in the video.
Oh no, I've seen that. Yeah. What's funny is it got my attention because I'm oh, it's a drone, and it's he was smashing it and then he threw it or whatever. The Asian guy, and I was that actually looks kind of cool, but it's then it's is this, in the comments it's is this real? Is this no? What's the deal with Blue Chew too? Is it pretty much a gum? It's a gum that it's Viagra? Because I hear it on podcasts all the time, but it's is that really what it is?
No, I believe that it's an herbal supplement, so it is not the same active ingredients as Viagra. I could be wrong on that,
but this isn't Blue Chew, right? You were saying it's something that sounds like Blue Chew but isn't.
I don't know. If I go on long enough on Twitter, I could probably find it, but I don't know that I will see it.
It's fine. But I mean, my point is with Blue Chew, have they gotten to the point now where you can literally chew gum that is Viagra? It's that.
That I don't know.
We'd have to look up. I think it is gum. I think Blue Chew is gum, but I don't know. We'd have to research that. But Yeah, what were you saying? Did you already say? What did you say about Jack Dorsey though? Were you saying something about
Oh,
him?
what was I going to say about Jack? Just that, hmm, yeah, I drew a blank on it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, I can't remember now.
no problem. I cut you off when you mentioned his name, but yeah. So I'm trying to think of what else is yeah going on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a very good like Twitter user. Like I kind of want to get into Twitter
Yeah,
and I'll go on it, but I'll just
yeah,
scroll and not really see anything of interest. So I'm like, maybe I'm just not following the right guys. It's a very kind of like dull and boring to me, and like a lot of like depressing, like any type of political thing that's actually kind of interesting just ends up being kind of like, man, this is kind of like going through the comments and seeing how many people agree with like Jordan Peterson's takes or whatever, or like, and then I recently saw Tim Pool
yeah.
post on, but like as you said, like they're getting paid now, I guess, on Twitter, which in a way I kind of thought that was cool. I was like, okay, well,
Yeah.
obviously, like you said, only the big names are getting paid, and it sounds like he's. Oh, that's one thing I wanted to ask you. For whatever reason, like you know, for the right or whatever. But Tim Pool went on there and was like, yeah, like I haven't got my payment yet for this month, and it's like I'm assuming
Oh,
he probably has now. I don't know, but and then people were like, oh, it's early, you'll get it or like whatever. But why do you think? And this will be the last question about this, but like, why do you think Musk has kind of almost seemed to like take a move towards the right, especially when his Tesla vehicle is like, so many of the lefts like
hmm hmm.
his cars. Like, do you think there's any reason for that? Besides
I
maybe he
mean,
really just does agree with the right more. I mean, I don't know.
I think he probably has some agreement with them. I think, these culture war issues have probably just revealed that he's a little more socially conservative. Um, you know, Sometimes people will say, oh, like the Democratic Party has like left me. They've gone far to the left, which I would disagree with, because I would say that the struggle for rights for like gay people has been a part of the Democratic Party since the 90s, but it gained more acceptance as time went on. Um, and obviously when gay marriage became legal in, I believe, 2012 or 2011, that was just part of the Democratic platform. So in terms of equal rights for trans people, I don't really see it as different. And so, but when that sort of culture war stuff comes out, I think it leaves some people who went, well, I'm not ready to accept that, out, and they feel like they're no longer a part of it because they don't want to support that. And so they find some solace in the Republican Party maybe. And the Musk is already a really rich guy, so I'm sure who really actually likes paying taxes anyways. So in terms of being like, a pro business party and stuff like that, it makes sense. And I think he also is just kind of like Trump. He likes adulation. He likes people liking him. And I think he's getting it from the right. He probably felt that way anyways about certain things. Like I would say the theory as to why he bought it is because of the Babylon Bee, that they were getting censored, or their posts were getting taken down by Twitter, and he was mad about that. And so that's sort of why he offered to buy Twitter in the first place. So I think that's just kind of who he is. It's kind of who he's been revealed to be now over time. And I don't know. And also I'm sure it doesn't help that I think his ex-wife is dating a trans person, and I think possibly his child is now identifying as trans, and I'm guessing that just kind of upsets him, to be
Is
honest.
that his ex-wife being Grimes or somebody
Yeah,
else?
or ex partner. I don't know if they got married or not, but yeah,
Yeah,
Grimes.
and
I
and they
believe
even
she's
had
dating a
like a
trans person.
and they had like a baby together, right?
They did, yeah. They had a baby. I can't pronounce the name, and I forget how it was spelled, but yeah, they have a baby,
X
and
or something
yeah, something
or
like that.
something like yeah.
And I'm not sure if the child might be identifying as trans now. So
Well, that baby can't be old enough, right? Because I mean that was a year or two ago, right? That wasn't even that long
Uh,
ago that they had that baby, I think, right? It must be a
um,
different kid.
it's possible that if they have more than one kid, I mean,
Well, no, not with her, but he has a bunch of kids. He has like
he
what,
has
7 or
other
8
kids. He
kids.
has other kids. Yeah, it's possible. I mean, look, I obviously my experience with trans people is relatively small. My
Yeah.
um, my niece's friend from high school like came out as trans and started transitioning at least socially. I don't think he was taking medication or anything like that, but he started dressing like a male and presenting as male. And that's basically my experience was just like, oh, by the way, this is Trevor now. And I was like, okay, that's one of my niece's friends, whatever. Like hi. Like that's the extent of, because when I see them, it's like he's hanging out with my niece or whatever. So I'm not like talking to that person a lot. So, but what was I gonna say? Like with trans people, um that he I don't actually, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought as to where we're going with that.
That seems to be the big that seems to probably be, I don't know. That seems to be maybe the big issue with a lot of people is like they stop at a certain point and it's kind of like the trans thing. But like
Yeah.
but I mean, I've recently been listening to like Bill Maher kind of as a joke, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know about his Club Random podcast.
I do not.
Okay, so yeah, so he has this Club Random podcast, which it really isn't that bad in terms of like listenability because he is willing. You obviously know Bill Maher's style, and like he's willing to like argue with people, but he'll
Yeah.
get like really kind of like combative with people. And
Yeah.
it's like it got to the point where it's so bad that people are making fun of it so much that Tim Heidecker, he has his own show called Office Hours where him and Fred Armisen literally just did a whole show on making fun of that show, like impersonating that show with the setup and everything. Like you have to watch it. And he just very like
I will.
the guests will be like very like calm and mellow, and he'll like just out of nowhere kind of have issues with them. And like as they're talking, he'll be like looking around for like his drinks and he'll like light up like a joint. And it's like, but anyway, so he's in his 60s or whatever. And then you
Yeah.
also got, like Sam Harris, obviously.
Yes, I know of
Sam
Sam
Harris,
Harris.
yeah. So there's a lot of these guys who are like, I was left, and Sam Harris is more like normal when it comes to this, but it's like Bill Maher will be like, I was left, but these wokes or whatever have gone too far. And it's like, and then also we both see it on the thread, our friend's thread, where you'll
Yeah.
have people like just like going against these wokes. And it's like, dude, I like never come in contact with like any woke people or like people who are like what they're like talking about. I'm like, I'm
I
sure
know.
they're out there, but how many
Yeah.
woke people do you live in LA? I mean, I don't know. I just don't come into contact with many of them. So like I don't have any issue with,
Yeah.
and it's like there's obviously the extreme where like some people really might go too far, but that's on both sides. And
Yeah.
I just don't, I feel like most liberals that I talk to, I've talked to a decent amount on even on here, and it's like they seem to be like pretty normal. Like they're not like extremely, leftist wokes.
Yeah.
But
I think it comes down to, are you going to accept those people that are trans or whatever, and or at least like politely tolerate them? Because that's honestly, I feel like political correctness in America, or being woke or whatever you want to call it, is basically being polite to groups of people that you might find to be a little bit different. Now, obviously, if you
yes.
asked our conservative friends, they'd be like, no, that's not true because those people are living a lie and I have to tell them. But that doesn't make any sense to me personally, because if I think
No.
someone is like, I don't know. I had a coworker once. She was like, she told I was doing the keto diet and I was losing weight at the time. And she was like, I'm doing keto too. And so then we would talk about keto or whatever. And then one day I saw her eating something, like it was like someone's birthday and they had birthday cake. And I was going to be like, I was going to tell her, I said something like, oh, that might have too many carbs, or I forget what I said. And then she was like, yeah, I'm not doing it today. And if you know anything about the ketogenic diet, you can't do keto for like a day. That's not how it works. So I at that point I could have been like, no, you can't do keto for a day. I'm sorry. You have to do it for like at least 3 months, because you have to first get into ketosis. And after you do that, then your appetite will be suppressed, then you can start cutting calories and you'll lose weight. And like I realized this person is not that serious about their diet, don't be an asshole to them, so she doesn't lose any more weight and she has a piece of cake.
Yeah,
Who the
yeah.
fuck cares? It's my coworker at my office. I'm not gonna be a jerk to her and be like telling her in front of people like that's bad for your diet. And like you can't, so it's like, if you see a trans person, why I just don't understand why you'd be like, I need to tell this person they're like living a lie, or like you look like a man, even though you're trying to dress like a woman. Like just fucking be nice to people. I don't get it. Like, I don't know. It's like I knew a guy in high school who was half black, half white, and he was like, I'm not black, blah, blah, blah. And at one point I was like, Alex, I mean, you are, you're half black. And he got really mad and he pushed me. He's like, no, don't fucking say that. And I realized there's a lot of stuff I don't understand about Alex right now. And I'm just not going to bring that up because this is a very touchy subject for the dude. And maybe he needs to accept that he's part black, but like, just let people do their thing. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like,
Yeah, well, I think that like it's like, for one, the people that we're talking about, like our friend group, like won't. I don't think that they would even like confront anyone. It's like they're not, but it's like I think that they tend to have a problem. What the thing that I gather from it is like they tend to have a problem with these woke people being like know-it-alls and doing what you're doing on the other side, being like, oh, you shouldn't say that, you shouldn't do that. And it's like, really, I agree with them. Maybe it's best just to like not tell them that. But the only problem with that is like if you don't tell them that, they just keep doing it. Like the people
yeah,
on our friends thread, like they'll just keep doing
absolutely.
it. So it's like the only thing that the only option like you really kind of have at that point is just to kind of like ignore it, because you don't want to like just keep hearing the same thing over and over again. But then you also can't tell them please stop, because they'll get offended that you're asking them to stop. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's, we can go over more of that maybe, another time, but
sure.
we'll end it on
Sounds good, man.
you want to end it on that song, right?
Oh yeah, we can talk about that song. Sure.
Yeah. So give us, as I'm finding it, give us the backstory of
Sure.
the
Uh,
song.
so this is Oliver Anthony. Oliver Anthony just came out with a song, or it just got played on YouTube. That's Rich Men North of Richmond. So Richmond is in the city in Virginia. And so I believe he's from Virginia, and he's just singing about how, some of the things that he thinks, I think, white working class American men, young men, are dealing with today. And, I understand his sentiment. I think it's actually not a bad song. And it's just kind of been popular in the last couple of days. It's kind of blowing up.
Yeah. So you can see it, right?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So you actually told me about the song. I think I may have like heard about it. And
Yeah.
my first take is I actually like the song. It kind of I don't know if you remember that Wagon Wheel song from like do you remember that song Wagon Wheel?
I'm not by who. I don't know if I do
It's
actually.
like well, it was actually a cover of a cover or something, but it was like going
Oh,
down south, and then like you would probably know it if you heard it. I can't sing,
okay.
but like it was kind of like a bar song that was played about 10 or 20 years ago a lot.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was actually kind of into the song, but what I didn't really pick up on when you first showed it to me was the Richmond north of Richmond. So okay, so he's from the south and
Yeah.
he's basically talking to the north, and he's almost like pre
People in DC, because
Civil
he's
War.
talking about South Virginia, and he's talking about people that are in like Northern Virginia. I think he's talking about politicians. Richmond, north of Richmond, is kind of like an allusion to like DC elite, but
But
people
this
from
is
the north.
this but it almost reminds me of like a pre-Civil War take, right? Like a the Confederacy take, almost like that was probably their take back then. And I guess you can still say it still is now, but it's like, right? Like those rich men north of Richmond, like don't want us to have slaves or whatever, right? I
Oh,
mean,
that's it. I mean, obviously that's
that's
what
the
people are
vibe I'm
saying.
getting
I I I think he's talking about the white working
now.
class in the South, in Appalachia, but
Okay.
in the United States, people that have factory jobs, and just how, because he used to be, I guess he either used to or still has a factory job, and that it doesn't pay well enough. And like, obviously what's tough about right-wing populism is like you broadly agree with some of the things that they're talking about, and then he'll be like, oh yeah, and by the way, these fat people that are on welfare are like a problem. That's in like another lyric in his song. Um, and it's just like, you
Uh,
can't, like, I think we sort of talked about, like, I can't infer that he necessarily is talking about black people, but that's my vibe. Like, just as a white person, in my experience, and just so or anyone knows, like, I grew up in a small town called Apple Valley, 2 hours outside of Los Angeles, and like
yeah, I know
I
it.
I very much know people that like would say the N word, and like, it's not, I'm not saying like this is like down south or something, like, but I I think I understand a little bit about small town white America, having grown up in that place and interacted with a lot of those people, that like people that owned horses and had chickens, and like, you know, Apple Valley used to actually was deed restricted, so black people couldn't own property in that city for a while. So like I just have like an inkling of understanding. And so when people talk about people on welfare or like people using food stamps and stuff like that, they're talking about black people. That's just like, I've never heard a white person being like, yeah, I was that white guy that showed up and used his food stamps. Like, it's the stories that I heard were always about black people, you know?
Well,
Um,
the weird thing that I'm getting from this is, first of all, it's just like a weird thing because, first of all, okay, so if he's talking about black people, it's like he's obviously poor, right? He's works in a
yeah,
factory,
it's a working class
and it's like
guy.
the thing that I'll yeah, he's a working class guy. The thing that I'll never get about working class Republicans in the South or wherever is how they're Republican. It's like, no, it's like,
Right.
dude, like, you want to be liberal, like, you want people to pay more taxes to help
Yeah.
you out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, and I've heard the reason for this is like a weird reason, and it's like some quote that, like, someone made, I forgot who it was, but it's basically that, um something, I'm getting it wrong, but it's basically something about like how it's not even Republicans, but it's like poor Republicans are Republican because they think that they'll eventually be rich,
Right.
basically, which that also doesn't really make what's I don't I'm forgetting the quote. It's basically like people who are temporarily poor, temporarily rich, poor people. Like, they'll eventually be rich.
Yeah.
But it's like,
I
otherwise,
don't
why
know the
why would
quote.
you be right wing if you're poor? There's no reason to be. If you're poor, you should just be liberal. But there's so many poor
Yeah.
Republicans.
Well, it's obviously it's a matter of sort of their taste, what they think. But why? I mean, that's been a puzzling thing that Democrats have dealt with for a long time. Like, we don't we don't know how to convince these people. Part of it is, I think there is some element of racism, because I think Republicans tell them, these black guys are taking money from the government, they're hurting you, and you shouldn't support them. They've also convinced them, that unions are like not helpful. Like, he works a factory job. Well, his factory job would be far less shitty if we had more unions in factories like we used to. And anyone who says that unions don't work well, I mean, why do doctors have a national a guild, basically the American Medical Association, that stands up for the interests of doctors nationwide? Why did lawyers have the American Bar Association that stands up for our interests? It's because it works. Having someone advocate for you very much works in your favor. That's why big corporations have lobbyists. So the idea that unions won't work, or like take your money and all this stuff and don't deliver, is just obvious hogwash. And the Republican Party has successfully kneecapped unions within the court system and with other laws to try to hurt them. And so, yeah, it sucks that when you see these working class people that are obviously supporting Republicans, it's like, we could be helping you too.
You there? All right, guys, we lost Menotti. I'm going to go ahead and play that song, and then I'll end it. Thank you. Bye.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, know the rich men. I wish politicians would look out for miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, north of rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay.
Well, it's a good song. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.